Welcome to part 2 of the making of the Zedd remix. I'm super excited and thankful for all the nice comments on like the sign up and everything, so thank you guys so much. As last week, I'll be giving away a mastering to one of the first 100 next who sign up in the email list below, and you'll also get free stuff there when you sign up. And I'll also be giving away a master to one of the first 300 commenters. But without further ado, let's head into the drop. So we were here.
Give me the night.
So I thought I'd go through it layer by layer pretty much. And let's start off with the bass sound actually. The pluck offbeat thing. This is very important to keep the rhythm. It goes on like bum 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 bum. Keeps that groove. And it has this resonant quality to it. It's from Diva. Just with some basic sidechain, what's it called, distortion. Some limiting just to keep the, because it was really peaking, and yeah, just to keep it under control. Some EQ to lower it away, but it has this resonance, so it really punches through the mix. So it can be pretty low in the mix, but still doing its job. And then we have the sub that I also think I replaced. Called Dastic sub, I don't know why, but it's shout out to Dastic. But it's just a distorted sine wave thing I made here, I think. I think I switched it out later on in the process. And the bassline thing sound. It's the boss pluck in Substance with some heavy distortion, some transient master just to keep the sustain under control because it was like going on for too long. Some room reverb, short room reverb, and sidechain. But I also have a volume automation here to really keep it under control because it was fighting a bit with the vocal chop, which sounds like this. So with the, I need to get glasses, I can't really see shit. With the bass sound, it sounds like this. So you can see that the automation is very like detailed, how when it comes in and out, and it gives a lot of the space to the main element, which is the lead vocal. So for the lead vocal, I've had so many questions asking how I did it, but it's actually just, it's not a synth, it's just from the vocal itself. That's how it sounds. And that's even with this. This is how it sounds actually when I just chopped it up quickly. So the first step was just to get that basic groove down because I felt like that was a cool housey vibe to it. I did this gated effect with an automation. Just trying to be Skrillex really. Then let's head into the effects. The RC20, which I love. Without. With. I went from the vinyl preset, but I switched up a lot of things in here. I did a lot of distortion. I like the crunchy. Yeah, actually it's called crunch. I like the crunchiness of it. And the wobble added a detuned effect, which makes it wider and appear wider. Without it. And it just gives it a lot of movement, the noise. Adds noise. And beefed it up a lot going into this vocal synth. Which is automated here somewhere. I can't find the automation right now. I think it's probably here, yeah. So it's going in there and just adding that synth layer. This is how it sounds if I just pull up the... That was pretty dope actually. I should have just used that. but I've automated it in and just added some weird tail to the sound. Some really heavy distortion here. You might say that's way too much, and I completely agree, it was way too much. But what I used it as sort of an effect, because when I feeded that into the reverb turned out really nice. Because it's really short and just added this space when it was so flat from the distortion. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. I hope so. And 100% sidechain to keep it really controlled. But here's the trick. I then turned down the highs and the harshiness, which makes it sounds really, really, really crunched up, but it's still controlled and doesn't hurt the ear. So you can push the distortion more by keeping it in check later. Then this parametric EQ is just to like guide the sound pretty much. It needed some more mids, it needed some less around 2K, and yeah, I was just listening and seeing what worked. And this is just for automation purposes, I think. So that's pretty much it. I did some more stuff later on in another project, which I'll pull up later. But that's pretty much the main part of the sound. So as I said, this kick was replaced. I really like this kick. It's gonna come out soon in a sample pack. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I have some extra perks here on the offbeat. Just to add some extra groove. The snares, I switched them out. And some from a sample pack of Meet You, I think, yeah. Just something I dragged in quickly. Just fit nicely. I have this. Regular white noise, again from Blackbird sample pack with ELS. Oh yeah, this is really important. If you hear without it, then with, really just drives it, because you have this pretty much A and B part when it goes, and then when it stops down here and goes, and then back to the A part. So that really distinguished those two, which was really important to make this remix work. So I also had this from this synth, but I didn't really like the sound, so I changed that later. But I had the melody and the idea because it needed some harmonics there. So I'll jump over to a new project now, where I continued on the remix while I was down at the Musical Freedom Studios with Tiesto and others. So this is the project after a lot of extra work was done. It just keeps on going. It's huge. It was a lot of stems that I bounced and then worked on it in a new project and added more stems, and so I thought I'd go through what's new in this project and the final version from the version I showed you guys earlier. So the main thing here is that now it sounds. In my opinion, it sounds way better, and that's thanks to Toby Green, who was at the Musical Freedom Camp, and he helped me with, for instance, the kick and get it right, because I was really struggling with the mix. I didn't know the studios, and he helped me a lot with getting the kick. And so shout out to Toby, you're a legend. While we were working on it together, we came up with this thing that it felt more of like a Brazilian bass sort of sound with like a kick drum in between. Why am I doing this all the time? And that really helped get like the groove right. So again, shout out to Toby. Thank you so much for helping me get this remix done in time. That was really awesome. I had so many sleepless nights, and I worked on this at the hotel at night while the others were sleeping, and then back to sessions in the Musical Freedom Studios on the same day. It was crazy, but thankfully, thanks to Toby, and we got it done. What's interesting here is the relationship with the sub, because It's literally a kick with a lot of sub. So what I did to mold them together, you can probably not hear it, but this is an automation for the sub of the sub. So when the kick hits, I take away the sub from the sub to allow the kick to punch through. Thing is that it sounds a bit bad, but it gave it that, like, just sounds gnarly and dark and punchy. I liked it a lot. It's also a new clap, which was just way cleaner and helped make everything sound more as one. This synth was also added. Sounds pretty shit, but it helped the track with like the melodics and helped make it more melodic. It's from Serum. This little perky thing really defines the groove alongside these ones that we already had. I added some panning to the white noise here, so they move from side to side right before the clap hits. So it gives it just some additional power and movement. It's a nice trick to use on white noise because the ear catches high frequencies when they pan more than lower ones, so that's usually what I try to pan. And this one, you heard, drags it into there, and in the second part here, just in the background, from Strangers Do, my sample pack, and some cowbells as well. So towards the end here, another one from Blackbird. This little thing is from my sample pack of Breathe, just modified it a bit. This is alongside the reverse. Yeah. Just sort of glued down, gave it that breathing moment. I don't know how to explain it. From my sample pack Strangers Do. You can download all of these on my website, all free, no sign up required or anything, but I don't mean to do a promo on these, but I just use them a lot. And I hope they help you guys as well. That's the whole point. This is a bit interesting because I was a bit unsure if I was gonna keep it, but it sounds like a flute whistle. But it sounded nice with the vocal chop. So I have this towards the end. Just white noise, rounding off the bar. And this is a trick I use often, which is the white noise to kick. Super short white noise. So we're down here. So I've done the stupidest thing you can possibly do, which is use 5 different vocoders to achieve that effect. You can see how these move. So, and they're all hitting different notes on the vocodex. It's just a robot preset with some like tuning, and it hits the harmonies of the vocal. It's probably not the smartest way to do it, but I just did it that way. So it hits a note here, which gives it that chord feeling and uplifting feel. What I've also done is some more reverb. That's pretty much it, actually. I feel like I added some more highs to it somewhere along the line, but that's primarily it, at least. I also have this thing that leads into the chords towards the end of the bar, which is a reverse of this, but it's panning, and I've automated it's a nice trick actually to automate the LFO of the pannings. It gradually increases in the amount, so it pans more and more and louder, so that leads into, yeah, which is just one perk, actually, a vengeance perk with a lot of shit on it. I'll just run through them quickly. This is how it sounds without anything. Wow, sounded lame. Vocal synth does nothing. RC20, too bright, which has a lot of noise, the preset. Liked it. Echo Boy with a short slap delay, like I usually do. Super harsh distortion. Sorry. Reverb. So put it in a room. EQ. Nothing. Just a compressor to control it a bit. A lot of highs. Was way too much. Yeah. And a sidechain. And this accentuates the attacks of gives it more of a defined groove, helped it cut through. This is also interesting. This is a tip that Brooks gave me, that this as well actually, but primarily adding a synth on top of the vocal chop, which does this exact same thing, but it just, yeah, it adds. This is without it, and with. You can especially hear it here. It adds just some defined note, if that makes sense, because the vocal chop is all over the place, so you want something that is more constant, if that makes sense. I also have some white noise just to make it wider. They're panned to either side, like this. With a tape stop here, just to give it some more groove, some harsh EQ. With the lead, it sounds like this. Made it a lot fatter. So thank you, Brooks, for that tip. The other trick was adding random ass percussions, and that's exactly what I did. It sounds like I put a lot of effort in it, but it was made in like 10 minutes. I just slapped in these things and it sounded good. Just put a lot of random stuff, put it through a distortion to keep the levels even, and cut out the lows. And with the synth, it just added some, I don't know, movement, sort of, and it helped it cut through. As well as this one, you can really hear that really well. This is with, that's without, so that helped a lot, just accentuate that offbeat, because that's when the first kick here hits. It goes like this. So yeah, I also have a clap here on the second one, just to make the second clap a bit longer on each bar. And that's pretty much it for the drop. I have this coming in the second part here, which is a diva sound pitching up. Just distortion, reverb, and pitches up, I think. Really helps in with having those sounds, just really helps in getting that energy flowing and going. So that helped a lot. We have this hi-hat. And with these hi-hats, just regular hi-hats. Didn't really need a lot of hi-hats. It just needed something to keep the rhythm going. And then some more shakery sort of stuff. Very basic. Cut up a loop from Breathe and with some volume automation. Sounds like this all together. And in the mix, it sounds like this. But yeah, as always, you can download the samples down below. Towards the end here, we have this baby, which is chords towards the end, but they're made out of violins actually, with some. That's how it sounds, but I put like some what's it called, automation. Put some automation on, a lot of really heavy distortion and some filter, and then it sounded like that. It's a lucky accident, but it fit really well. I wasn't really supposed to put that on the violins, but it worked. And then some more perks here towards the end, just to make it sound more airy. I think, yeah, they're from IDP Dip, this one, and then Breathe. Just slapped them in, because as I said, I was in a rush of, I had little time left before the deadline. But luckily we got it through. Zedd loved it, and such a dream come true. I hope you guys learned something. Please leave comments if you have any questions whatsoever. And yeah, I hope you learned something. If not, see you guys next week.